It's not always good going through life with an easily irritated disposition. It's probably not the best way to live. It's probably not. Sometimes it comes in handy, though, like jury duty. I got called into jury duty last year. I didn't want to be there. Found out I had nothing to worry about. After roughly 15 minutes of honestly and pretty aggressively answering their questions, they wanted absolutely nothing to do with me. It's one of my finest moments as a grown-up. I have a lot of strong feelings about our court system, a lot of which aren't positive. Right? Like I do. Like I don't like a lot of trials go on way too long. It bugs me, right? And a lot of trials, frivolous litigation. That's another thing that bugs me. Just overzealous litigation. People suing for things they should not be allowed to sue for. The only people who win are lawyers and insurance companies, right? We all pay more. We all suffer because of that. We all pay more for every product we buy because that company had to carry extra insurance because of some shithead trying to sue them over something stupid. Right, like this lady sued Universal Studios Haunted House a couple years ago for scaring her too much. And she won $15,000 for mental anguish. Yeah, for being scared too much by a place she had paid to scare her just enough. That's like suing a restaurant for having food so delicious you order dessert when you knew you should have stopped at dinner. I feel like you could probably pull that off. I feel you probably could. Just they knew what they were doing, Your Honor. I wanted to be done when I was barely able to finish my pan-seared tilapia with the raspberry Pinot Noir glaze and the butternut squash ravioli. I could barely get it down. I had to loosen my belt. Had to take a Beano as a precautionary measure, and I knew there were still going to be consequences. And then that son of a bitch, right there, unsolicited, brought to our table a slice of New York-style cheesecake, with a creme brulee topping. It was crispy, but it's not burnt. It's crispy, but it's not burnt. I don't know how they do that. Has a made from scratch graham cracker crust where you can smell the butter. You can smell the butter! I've heard enough. Verdict for the plaintiff. $30,000 for intestinal anguish. It feels possible to me. Yeah, and then those trials that go on too long, those trials that waste everybody's time, drag on for years when anyone with common sense knows the verdict on day one. There are those trials. Like there was this serial killer, early 80s in California, Robert Ng. This guy, they find the remains of over like a dozen people that he had killed. Find videotapes in this house, his DNA all over the remains, find videotapes of him killing the people whose remains they just found, catch his accomplice immediately, who's also on the tapes, who confesses right away. He's like, yeah, that's us. I mean, you can see us on the tapes. That's our DNA. Yes, guilty. All of it, for sure. No, I mean, it's definitely us. Totally, for sure. 100%. 100%. I'm paraphrasing, but that's the gist of it. That trial goes on for over 8 years. Costs over $20 million. Yeah, that should have cost a couple $100, been decided in about 10 minutes. That trial should have only lasted as long as it took for the jury to realize that the person on the tape is the person sitting across the courtroom from them. Right? Just minute one, put that tape in, push play, and just wait a few minutes until the jury's like, wait, oh shit. What? Oh my God. And then the jury foreman just stand up like, Your Honor, we've reached a verdict. We've already reached a verdict. I know we haven't even heard from the defense attorney, but honestly, you know what? Fuck that guy for even taking this case in the first place. I mean, honestly, where is his moral compass? Honestly. He's seen the tape. He's seen the tape. We're going to put in a guilty verdict right now, and if I can be so bold, we'd like to strongly recommend the death penalty. And if I can be so bold, we'd like to wrap this up before lunch and just kill him ourselves right now, if we could. If you don't. I like a pro-death crowd. I appreciate that. Some people need it. Some people need it. So I take this attitude into my jury selection. And it's a murder trial. I don't want to be there. I didn't know this, but when you get there, you can fill out a form saying you don't want to be there. And the last question on the form is pretty straightforward. It says, do you think you'd make a fair juror? I was honest. I said, no. I'm a comic, I get paid to make quick judgments and stick to them. That's exactly what I plan on doing in your court. I thought that would get me tossed. It did not. They made me stay there. They put me in the jury selection box. The defense attorney starts asking me questions in front of the defendant, which is awkward. He's listening to us. And it was weird. The judge told us that the defendant had just been released from prison, where he had served several years for the attempted murder of a rival gang member. Now he's being charged with murdering a rival gang member. So I'm like, great. I'm in a room with somebody, definitely getting better at murder. And I thought that because when I saw him, I immediately thought, yeah, that guy's a murderer. And I thought that because he had gang tattoos all over his face, like a lot of gang tattoos over a lot of his face. And look, I know that having gang tattoos all over your face doesn't make you a murderer, unless you're charged with murder. Then it probably makes you a murderer. You know, if you have any common sense. So the defense attorney, he reads my answer to the last question about making quick judgments, and he thought I was joking, I guess. And he goes, so have you made any judgments here? And I go, yeah. I think that guy's guilty. He says, you can't know that. You've heard literally no evidence. And I said, look at his face. Everybody thinks he's guilty. And then I heard some snickering from the other potential jurors. I looked over, I counted at least 2 thumbs up, and I felt like I was killing in the courtroom. The comic came out in me. I felt like I had a hot crowd. I felt like they wanted more. And I wanted to put on a good show. So then the attorney, he goes, well, if the prosecution doesn't provide enough evidence to prove him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, you have to find him not guilty. That's his words, you have to. And I just said, no, I don't. I make bad decisions all the time. I can make one here. He said that would be illegal, and I got very nervous because I wanted to say one more thing, but even though I watch a lot of crime shows, I still can't fully wrap my head around what contempt of court actually means. But I did feel like I was treading in that direction. Then I also felt, well, you've come this far, let's ride it out. And I said, I don't know. You know the law better than I do. Maybe that would be illegal. But to be totally honest, I do illegal stuff a lot, and I usually get away with it. Right? I told him, I was texting my friends about how much I didn't want to be on this trial while driving here today, and no one caught me. And he shook his head, he talked to the judge, and about 2 minutes later, I was walking to my car. Free man. Felt good. The truth had set me free. It finally paid off to have a bad attitude.